A WPC 89 MPU board with alkaline corrosion, and here you can see that the corrosion has impacted the ULN 2803, the two LM339s on the right side of the picture, and quite a few of the resistors, Zener diodes, and ceramic capacitors just below. Here you can see that I've removed all of the parts that were impacted by the alkaline corrosion. You can see why it is necessary to remove all the parts. No amount of topical treatment from white vinegar or mustard or toilet bowl cleaner, as is sometimes prescribed, is going to impact or abate the corrosion that exists underneath these parts. After I've removed all the parts, I sand down to the bare copper. This allows me to identify traces that have been severed and that will need to be repaired. After I've repaired traces, I use a conformal coating to ensure that the bare copper doesn't oxidize. Here I've installed new parts and conformal coated all of the bare traces. You'll note that some of the resistors I use are blue instead of the typical brown. The blue resistors are a tighter tolerance and they're perfectly fine to use in your repair work. Now it's time to take this board to the bench. And here we are on the bench. Let's boot it up. And that is a normal boot display sequence. And it's looking for a soundboard right now and maybe some other things. I don't have the soundboard connected. It doesn't have, since I'm not in a Doctor Who, it can't find the optos, and that's why it's giving me this message. So let's get it into test. Yeah, that's normal for not being in a game. Let's see, switch edges, that'll be important since all the corrosion was down here in the switch matrix. So let's just go across the diagonal, which proves that all of the rows and all of the columns are working. I can also show you the coin drop switches and the increment, decrement, etc. buttons. I can back out. So that's all working correctly. We can do solenoid test. And let's just make sure that the signals are getting over to the power driver board. And they are correctly. I'm going to do general illumination. Again, this is just making sure that the signals are getting over to the power driver board. There's 5 or 6 signals that come off of the ASIC and they get communicated over the ribbon to the power driver board. We'll do lamp and flashers at the same time. Looking good. And that is it. I've already set this to, I believe I set it to free play. Let's see. Adjustments. Now I set the minimum volume override. And I set it to free play. We are good to go. Thank you so much for sending this board. It was a little more work than normal, but it came out nice, and this one's going to last a good long time.